Marcel.
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. So, thank you very much. So as you know, we are interviewing for the bar manager position at the Breakfast Club. And I'm just going to ask you a few questions just to better get to know you and get a feel for what kind of fit you would be in this job. So yeah, just let me know also if you have any questions for us. Yeah.
Sure, sounds good.
So first of all, just to start off, what kind of experience do you have in the food service industry?
Well, I worked for about a year at a bar and restaurant called Tradewinds back in Australia. So while I was working there, I did things like working as a waiter, helping in the kitchen, working just general bar staff duties, so keeping the stock supplied, switching kegs over, working the bar back. So that's my sort of main area or main experience I've had working in the bar industry. And then also while I was travelling, I've been travelling around for the last year, and I did a little bit of work in hostels and bars, that sort of thing, so working for board, and that was more informal, but still the same sort of thing, so serving drinks and occasionally helping out in the kitchen, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, where all were you traveling?
Mainly in South America, so the places that I worked in hostels were Peru and Argentina, probably for a total of about a month all up. But then I also travelled in Europe a little bit as well.
Very cool. So you've been around a little bit. So we do a lot of private events as well as just like regular nights at the bar. So as a bar manager, you would be kind of overseeing events. So let's say that you have a private event for about 100 people.
Yep.
In place. So just thinking about what you would have to kind of make sure everything ran smoothly. Could you just talk about maybe a couple of things that you would want to make sure kept in check to make sure the event ran smoothly?
Sure, I suppose the first issue would be safety requirements. So you're making sure there's no things around the event that people could trip over, or electrical cords, glasses, just general safety requirements depending on what the venue's like. And then you'd also make sure there's enough space for everyone to do whatever the event required, so engage with one another, and have a good time, move around, that sort of thing. Other things to keep the event running smoothly would be food, beverages, make sure they're stocked completely. And then I suppose lastly that you have the right staff working as well, so enough staff and that they're capable of doing whatever job you need them to do.
Yeah, that's definitely important. Staff is, definitely everything. Lovely. So then just on a regular night, not event, I mean this could happen in an event too, but just to set up a scenario, because you're always going to have to deal with difficult customers, especially if there's potentially alcohol involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can speak to an experience you've had doing this where somebody is visibly intoxicated and they are asking for another drink at the bar, and it's always kind of an uncomfortable situation to deal with, but how do you think that you would handle something like that?
I have seen experiences like that before, and usually what happens is the manager will come down, or even just the bar staff will tell them that they've had too much to drink, they should slow down. If they ignore that, they're officially cut off at the bar. Usually that works unless they're an aggressive type, in which case the manager will come and speak to them, ask them to calm down, and then following that the bouncers are usually brought over, and the bouncers ask them to leave, and if they don't do that, they're escorted out of the venue.
Great. So if you didn't have a bouncer, say to speak, and you were the one that had to escort them out?
So I suppose I'd follow all the steps up until asking the bouncer, asking them myself to leave, at which point I'd probably, if they were getting aggressive, call the police, and then get the police to help them.
Yeah, and hopefully that's a measure you don't have to jump to.
Yeah, make sure other people don't get involved in the situation.
Yeah, definitely. Great. So then there's the other side, kind of behind the scenes of being a bar manager. You have to be in charge of things like scheduling and inventory, just keeping track of inventory in the sense that you want to know where you're losing costs, etc. So what kind of organization or what kind of skills do you have that you think could create some sort of system to make sure things kept track of scheduling inventory?
Well, I've never had to work with like anything like that, but I have taken some management type courses at university and that sort of thing. So I think they could translate quite well to a bar manager position. And then in a real sense, I suppose, making sure your inventories are well listed and keeping track of them day to day. I know an important part of working behind the bar was we would have to count stock at the end of every day, so making sure your staff are doing that properly and recording how many drinks get sold, and then you know when's an appropriate time to order new stock in and that kind of stuff, so you're never running out.
Great. Yeah, that sounds great. And then what about for the scheduling aspect?
All right, scheduling aspect. Well, again, I haven't had any previous work experience with scheduling. However, the management courses I've taken at university, I think, could translate well in terms of scheduling events and that sort of thing, making sure that they're well planned out beforehand and you've got the necessary requirements to make sure the event runs smoothly, like we were saying earlier.
Just letting it. Great. And then you were saying classes at the university, and you kind of spoke about this already, but what are some, just a couple other things you can think about in terms of classes or what you've learned at University of Portland that you think you could bring to the work?
Sure. Well, I've taken a applied organizational communications class, and in that we've learned to engage with our co-workers and how to deal with hiring staff and firing staff if need be. Good practices for setting up promotional activities for the bistro, and so that's one class. I've also done, again, a basic business management class at another university, so that talked a little bit about managing from the business side, I suppose, more than the communication side. Yeah, so I suppose that would be.
Great. All right, well, do you have any questions for me as far as what we talked about or anything else that you're curious about?
Well, just looking at the website, I was wondering, as a manager, would I only be working in the bar, or would I be working in the kitchen as well, or like the whole range?
Yeah, as a bar manager, your main focus is the bar, and that's like your baby, your responsibility. But then also, I think pretty common at every restaurant, sometimes there's going to be places where you're going to have to, jump in here and there, and which is good that it sounds like you have experience in different corners of the restaurant, because sometimes myself as a bar manager, I know that there's definitely a day where I'm going to have to go back and do dishes for a minute, and you just have to. Right. But I think that it is good to keep as much focus as you can, just taking care of them.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for coming in. It was nice to meet you, and for listening.
Thank you.